In the beginning, if we're talking about February time, it was quite confusing. A week or two into it, I sort of came up with an idea that what I would do is lay out all of the guidance side by side from WHO, from CDC, from the state of California, county health, county ed, and then because we have a preschool, I also have to follow the guidance of the child care licensing, and then OSHA for teachers. So it ends up being 7 different organizations. So I just sort of would put them in parallel, just the decision of, we're going to do this, and we're going to take all the rules, and we're going to figure this out, and we're going to do this, because the obvious other decision is we could have just closed. The plan that I created was based on another school's plan that I found on a web, but it was for a tsunami event in their location. And it was first we will be completely closed, then we'll open a little bit, then we'll open even more. And I just adapted that idea to COVID and added some more columns to the plan and some more thoughts around it. I began to have these weekly meetings where I go online and I do head of school roundtable. Typically we do them like 6 times a year, and they're about philosophy, but this became more about COVID. And I would just explain, these are the guidelines, this is what we're going to do, and this is why we're going to do it. And those became almost like fireside chats for some families. They would tune in, you could see them on the Hangout, maybe both parents were there with a glass of wine. I would have it open so everybody could ask any question, and I never shied away from any question that was asked. I do think in the time of crisis, communication is the number one downfall. So I think even just saying, I don't know that yet, is more reassuring than saying something that's incorrect or not saying anything. So sometimes I would just say, you know what, that's coming up and I just don't know that, and I should have something for you in 2 more weeks. Generally, the more open and honest you are about what you know and what you don't know, and what you're going to do about what you don't know, is the way to go. I think one of the interesting things was how we found ourselves leading the way for other schools. I created this plan to reopen Bowman, and it had 6 steps of how we would go about getting back to normal from closure. And then I shared it at one point. 2 months later, I went to a talk, and I was not only quoted, but they showed my plan, and they didn't know I was in the audience. And, we just went to this conference over the weekend, and people saw me in the chat, and they're like, wait, you're Mary Beth from Bowman? I used your plan. So I closed the school on like the 12th or 13th of March, and starting March 16th, we were closed. And we had a staff meeting that morning, a full mandatory staff meeting in person on March 16th, in which I announced we were moving the entire school to online education. I didn't know how that looked. They didn't know how that looked. We broke up into small groups and began to plan. By Wednesday, 2 days later, they were up and running. We always say the staff makes the school, but that was really true this last year. They were very creative. Several teachers made videos to show the parents how to make the Montessori materials out of things you could find around your home, whether it be Legos or counting with small cars. One teacher made a video about how to go in your garden and find sticks and rocks to make a math manipulative. So I think the teachers really were the driver on how to take what they had in their own homes, because they didn't have access to the materials. They weren't giving the online lessons from the classroom. They were giving, in those early months, they were giving the online lessons from their homes. So they also had to become incredibly creative. Dr. Montessori was given a less desirable job, because she was a woman, to run a school in the garment district of Rome, and with no equipment, and she made the equipment out of what she found in the garment district. So the spindle box, for example, is made from spindles from the weaving machines, and the job that we call the stamp game, which is to help you with math, was originally made of postage stamps. So she used what she had. And so we just applied that philosophy, like, what would Maria Montessori do in this COVID situation? She would use what she had. It was just very important to get them back in the classroom and get them some normalcy as soon as possible. And we have been open since July. And I just think for the kids, to hear them laughing, to hear them excited and sharing, even though they have to wash their hands all the time, they have to wear a mask all day long, they have to keep distance from each other, they're still really excited to be back and in person.